Hey, this is Kenny from Kenny's Audiophile Work Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my channel. As always, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. That'll help my channel grow. You know you come to the right place when you see the white t-shirt, the blue jeans. You know at Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for always for viewing my videos and help my channel grow. But in this video, I'm going to rank my top 10 jazz albums of all time. In a previous video, I mentioned my top 10 jazz albums of all time, but I did not rank them. I just mentioned them. Some of them are so close at the time I felt it was kind of really difficult to say one's better than the other. Just with all top 10 lists, whether it's music, sports, it doesn't matter. It's very difficult, to rank some of these artists, regardless of the field of art, the field of sports. For example, in basketball, I'll give you a top five. My top five is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 1, Michael Jordan, number 2, Wilt Chamberlain, number 3, Magic Johnson, number 4, and probably LeBron James at number 5. Now, it's easy to say, well, Michael Jordan was better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I wouldn't blame somebody who made that claim or that argument. I think they're 1A and 1B. But in all top 10 or all top 5 list, you're going to leave out some greats. As you notice, on my list, I left out Larry Bird. And there's all kinds of greats that can fit in anybody's top 10 list, whether it's music, sports, all fields of entertainment. Is very difficult. This list reflects the jazz I love and enjoy. Now, the list that you make reflects the jazz you love and enjoy. And there's not a right or wrong answer. There's going to be some glaring omissions. As I said in my last video on jazz, top 10 video on jazz, I've been around jazz my entire life. Jazz did not come into my life during the record reissue era of the last 10 years or so. My father was a jazz fan. Every time he got, like I said in my last video, every time he got my father's car was on the jazz station. I have 2 older brothers who were into jazz, especially my oldest brother. He was into jazz. So I've been buying jazz records since I was in high school. And this year I'll be 64 as of posting in this video. Give you an idea how long I've been buying jazz records. But my record is void of a lot of jazz greats like Dizzy Gillespie, Art Blakey, Horace Silver, Dexter Gordon, Chet Baker, Bill Evans are not in my top 10 list. Oscar Peterson, the great Count Basie. There are many, many, many others that are not in my top 10 list. But this is the type of jazz I love and enjoy. And this is my list, but what is yours? And I'm going to rank mine during this video, which I didn't do in my previous video. This is my top 10 jazz albums ranked from 10 down to 1. And I'm going to go through these somewhat quickly. But the number 10 is one of my favorite jazz albums of all time. I just like the way this album moves and swings and grooves and the dramatic playing. I believe Billy Cobham is on drums, and Hubert Laws and Ron Carter on bass. This is Mccoy Tyner, Fly with the Wind album. And the song Fly with the Wind is simply fantabulous. The way it's arranged and put together, and the piano playing of, and the dramatic piano playing of Mccoy Tyner, and the over-the-top dramatic drumming of Billy Cobham. This is number 10 on my list, and I think it's a great jazz album. That is number 10, Mccoy Tyner, Fly with the Wind. At number 9, this is Stan Getz's favorite album. I read a book on Stan Getz, and in this book I read on Stan Getz is a quote saying this is his favorite album of all time. It is an amazing jazz album that includes jazz and some classical music. It was arranged by Eddie Sauter. Stan Getz, Focus. And my favorite song or composition on this record is a song called Pan. I like this much better than the Getz Gilberto album. This is just a piece of musical art to a peak degree. Stan Getz, Focus makes my list at number 9. Number 8, by Charles Mingus. This is a masterpiece. I believe this came out in 1959, I believe. I'm not sure. I think it was around that 1959, where the year they consider the greatest year in jazz. What a magnificent work of jazz art this is. At number 8, Charles Mingus. At number 7, this is a free jazz masterpiece by Ornette Coleman. Change of the Century. Now, I believe he has another album called Shape of Jazz to Come. I believe that's the name of the record. I have that. I hope I got the title right. But this one, Change of the Century, is a magnificent example of free jazz at its best. I have another free jazz album on my top 10 list. I'm going to get to that. But Ornette Coleman at number 7, Change of the Century, a magnificent example of great free jazz. At number 6, this was introduced to me by my brothers. This record has been part of my entire life because of my brothers. I've been vibing and grooved to this record. Gosh, I was in elementary school when this record came out. That's how long I've been familiar with this record. It is Pharoah Sanders, Karma, at number 6. This is a masterpiece, and he has that masterpiece of a composition. The creator has a master plan, and it is a magnificent, like I said, a magnificent work of jazz art. The creator has a master plan. The name of the album, Karma, by Pharoah Sanders, and the song is The Creator has a Master Plan. What an emotional and invigorating and deeply emotional performance by Pharoah Sanders. I mean, he's really, really playing on this record. All the musicians on this record are playing heavy on the song Creator Has a Master Plan. And there's a beautiful song on here called Colors. That's just a beautiful, beautiful, magnificent jazz piece to listen to. But this song is highlighted by the composition, The Creator Has a Master Plan. That was at number 6. At number 5, a big band work of art by Miles Davis, collaborated with Gil Evans, masterfully put together by Gil Evans and Miles Davis. Miles Davis, Sketches of Spain. This collaboration between Miles Davis and Gil Evans, you don't get too much better than this in terms of a jazz collaboration, a music collaboration, a collaboration of art, regardless of the art form, to its peak form. Miles Davis, Gil Evans, Miles Davis, Sketches of Spain comes in at number 5. At number 4, another free jazz masterpiece, and this is just one of my favorite albums of all time, let alone jazz albums of all time. It's called Symphony for Improvisers by Don Cherry. If you have not heard this free jazz album, you definitely should give it a listen. It may not be for everybody because free jazz has a tendency to be somewhat way out there compared to some of the more traditional jazz forms. Some of the more traditional jazz forms are more composed. They center around and focus on a theme, or this is just a bunch of brothers just, there's a theme to some of these the artwork or compositions on this album, but the free jazz and the free form playing on this album, and there's a CD version of it, Symphony for Improvisers by Don Cherry, is fantabulous. I mean, this has Don Cherry on cornet, Gato Barbieri tenor sax, Pharoah Sanders, the album that I just showed a few albums ago, on tenor sax. It's amazing free jazz work of art. Don Cherry, Symphony for Improvisers. And coming in at number, that was number 5. This is number 4. Actually, number 3. Miles Davis, Kinda Blue. This is probably on most people's top 10 list. This has an all-star cast, and you cannot go wrong with this cast. This is number 3 on my list. I'm sorry if I said number 4. Miles Davis Kind of Blue. Includes Julian Cannonball Adderley, Paul Chambers, Jimmy Cobb, John Coltrane, Bill Evans, and Wynton Kelly. This is the UHQR version of the record, the 33 1/3, I believe. I have the 45 RPM version of this one. It sounds fantabulous. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. I think my favorite composition on this record is Blue and Green. There's some argument whether it's a Miles Davis composition, a Bill Evans composition, or they collaborated on the composition. But that's my favorite composition on this album, Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. And coming in at number 2, this easily could be a number 1 on my list. I know a lot of you guys don't think it probably doesn't think it deserves to be on my top 10 list, but it is. I think this is, in terms of musical art as an art form, like I said, regardless of the genre, this is a solo piano piece by Keith Jarrett, the very impressive Keith Jarrett Cone Concert, a solo piano concert held by Keith Jarrett. This came out in 1975. This is a beautiful, inspirational, emotional performance that is easy for me to always get into. This is a 2-album set, and he is in terms of improvisational music, he's the best of all time as far as I'm concerned. Keith Jarrett Cone Concert, a beautiful piano solo concert by Keith Jarrett performed, or at least this was released in 1975. It was recorded in 1975, January 24th. Such an amazing, emotional, and expressive work of jazz and musical art at its best. It easy can be number 1 on my list. Keith Jarrett Cone Concert coming to number 2. And number 1, this brother put everything he had into this album. That is A Love Supreme, John Coltrane at number 1. A beautiful, expressive, emotional, inspirational work of jazz music, you know, with his crew, Mccoy, Tyner on piano. What a spectacular performance by John Coltrane and band on this one. John Coltrane, A Love Supreme, comes in at number 1. That is my top 10 jazz albums ranked, with A Love Supreme being number 1. If you have a top 10, a top 5, a top 3, please leave your comments in the comment section below. Like I said, these things are very subjective. There's not a right or wrong answer. And on everybody's list, there are going to be some glaring omissions. Say, for example, Bill Evans, Portrait in Jazz. That's an amazing album, too. Didn't make my top 10, but what's yours? Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Thank you very much for making my previous jazz video, my top 10 jazz video, my most viewed video that I've ever done. I appreciate that. And please like and subscribe. That'll help me out. Thank you very much for viewing my video. As always, God bless, strong love, and keep the peace worldwide.